Welcome to the closing panel discussion, in which we are going to zoom in on industrial decarbonization in uncertain times. Over the last 2 days, we heard a lot about batteries, solar, renewable energy deployment, grids, flexibility. But as we are amid an energy crisis caused by the Middle East conflict, concerns about industrial competitiveness are growing. And in this time, for energy-intensive companies, the question is no longer whether to decarbonize, but how to do it in a way that remains competitive and economically sustainable. My name is Vasileva, and I have the pleasure of moderating this discussion. I'm very pleased to be joined by three speakers who are representing different parts of the energy ecosystem. We have Sevda Yoncheva, Vice President Stakeholder Engagement at CWP Global, who will bring the renewable energy developer perspective to our discussion. We have also Konstantin Stamenov, who is the chairman of the Bulgarian Federation of Industrial Energy Consumers, who will represent the energy-intensive industry. And we have also Mr. Christos Nakos, who is Director of Trading Operations, Transformation at PPC, representing the utility and market side of the discussion. Thank you for joining us. And now, as we start the discussion, I'd like to begin with the broader picture and ask Mr. Stamenov to describe the current operating environment for energy-intensive companies in the region and Bulgaria in particular, and how this environment affects investment decisions related to decarbonization.
Здравейте, hello, good evening. I know it is a tough day for the whole participants. I'm going to be short, and of course I'm ready to answer many questions as you have. Now, decarbonization, we did a study among our members, which are the biggest companies in Bulgaria, and I'm going to say, let's say, the conclusions. Decarbonization usually is connected with technologies which are, let's say, mature and not mature. Every company prefers to invest in a mature technology, meaning buying car, starting the engine and go. If you go for a not mature technology, you need a long perspective, you need a lot of capex, a lot of opex, and after that, hopefully, you'll survive at the end. That is why we think that the decarbonization process and the big companies who are investing constantly are focused on investment on mature technology. What means mature? To translate it very briefly, mature means PV parks, energy efficiency, whatever is, let's say, available on the market, you can buy, usually our companies, the process of investment is not simple because the majority of the equipment in our companies are unique. It is big machines, big furnaces, whatever is the type of production. And in order to have new equipment, you need minimum 1 year to order something and to be delivered. After that, you need permission processes, etc. You're facing the problems of administration of this process. For example, environment permission, we are waiting sometimes more than 2 years, even for, let's say, upgrade of the equipment. In that respect, for energy-intensive industry, is very important to have competitive price. Usually, the energy-intensive industry consume electricity 7,000 to 8,000 hours annually. And looking at the market, unfortunately, there is a problem with the electricity market design, because you know that in Eastern and Central Europe, the electricity prices are higher compared to the rest of Europe. For example, I did a calculation. The consumption of energy-intensive industry for electricity, annual consumption is between 6 to 8 terawatt hours. And for last year, the difference in our spot market compared to France is about 300 million euro. This 300 million euro, if we have them in remaining in our companies, this will go for investment. If we don't have this 300 million, we reduce the investments. The same happens now this year. I calculate again on annual base, because the energy-intensive industry consume a lot of natural gas. The natural gas, for the time when the war in Iran started, the increase on annual base is about 100 million euro more on our bills. Of course, this is annual calculation, but again, it reflects the energy-intensive industry intention to invest. And this, at the moment, you know, there is a new mechanism coming, who was published by European Commission last year, the so-called Clean Industrial State Aid Framework. This Clean Industrial State Aid Framework gives us possibility roughly to compensate the energy-intensive industry with 100 million euro on annual base. Of course, you can easily calculate the difference between 300 and 100, and on top you have more higher bills for natural gas. And to draw your attention, I'm speaking only for competitiveness within Europe. If we compare with China and the United States, it's a different story. The good point here is that still we're operating, and the energy-intensive industry is the biggest importer of, as part of the industry, mainly to European Union. This is very briefly. I'm going to stop here because our panel is just before the cocktail, and not to keep you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And in this environment of high energy prices, how do you see the decarbonization agenda evolving and changing across the region?
Okay, I have it, okay. Hello, everyone. I would like to give me a few seconds to extend a big thank you to the organizers for having me for another year of the Resource Conference. I always leave inspired because this is one of the few places where real networking is done. Thank you for the party last night. And all of you here, you have my respect because you made it to the very last session. So that means that either all the serious people in the industry are here, or you're committed to the cocktails that Kosyu has promised. But either or, you know, thank you for being here. And as Kosyu said, we will be very short, so we will not delay the talks afterwards. But talking about the big picture and what we are seeing across Europe, I think I'm seeing a fundamental shift. The conversation is really changing. For decarbonization is no longer a climate agenda only or a climate conversation. It's more or less shifting to security, to economic resilience, and to geopolitical conversation. So it's really changing. Throughout the day, we have been talking about what is really happening and what energy crisis we are experiencing. In Southeast Europe, we have really seen that you know, imports of fossil fuel can really bring a lot of pressure on electricity prices, a lot of pressure on the industry, as was already said, uncertainty for the households, and of course, in the long-term political vulnerability. I would like to take the opportunity to also give an example from a recent report from Solar Power Europe. Basically, they have calculated that in Europe, the existing solar fleet has avoided around 10 billion euro in gas imports during a time of very volatile prices. This is, just to give you a perspective, 110 million euro per day, and this is since March. So we see that basically renewables are becoming the economic and the geopolitical shield now of Europe. And I think this is giving a great opportunity for Southeast Europe to really implement and build more projects, renewable projects, especially wind. You know my story with wind. I'm a wind ambassador, so I really think that we can move forward, but to be able to actually realize this potential, we need really political will. We will need grid modernization so it can absorb this energy, and much faster decision making. So this is things that we need to do to be able to utilize this.
And since you mentioned wind energy potential, from the perspective of a renewable energy developer in Southeast Europe, what opportunities does renewable energy create for industrial decarbonization in the region? If you could elaborate a little bit more on this topic.
Sure, yeah. What I see is that basically decarbonization can be fundamental in creating industrial competitiveness. I think that there can be ways in which we think about industrial models that work, actually. I want to give a particular example, which I'm very proud of. It's done in Bulgaria. The company that I represent, CWP, have signed an MOU with Heidelberg Materials Devnya for such a kind of circular industrial decarbonization model, meaning that the Devnya will, Heidelberg Materials Devnya will provide the cement, which will be used for the foundations of a wind park that we are developing here in Bulgaria. And then after it starts producing, it will provide renewable electricity to the facility in Devnya. So, you know, that will be done through a PPA. And you see how this is like a circular industrial model that has been created here in Southeast Europe. And I'm very proud that this is happening here. So I encourage the industry really to look into such creative and different models, take the best examples from Northern Europe, for example, and really use them here.
Sounds great, thank you. And now let's jump to the demand side. And Mr. Nakos, how is demand from industrial consumers for clean power procurement in the region, developing in the region?
Well, before addressing your question, I would like to make a more general comment following what has already been discussed. And okay, we have a little bit of time. In reality, we see a tension between the clean procurement, green transition, and competitiveness. Okay, and we don't have to hide it. There is a tension there. There is a contradiction there. The point is that every stakeholder that it is in this tension should somehow exit the comfort zone and try to find the proper answers without trying to safeguard both competitiveness and the green transition. Okay, because it's a debate. It's a very the debate now is kind of either we will be competitive or we will be green, and on my end, on our end, we are very pretty sure that this is not one way, mutual exclusive. Okay, and we would like to exit our comfort zone, and we would like to assist on this endeavor, keep both objectives in line and moving forwards. So, trying now to come to your question. Clean procurement is not something that, I mean, there are different consumers, let's say like that. There are the energy intensive consumers, which it's their own survival to find cheap energy and to find cost and to ensure cost competitiveness. So these type of consumers, they don't actually ask for clean, they ask for competitive, independent of if it is clean or not. So you have some regulation, the regulation that enforces and that enforces the clean procurement, the clean procurement guidelines. Okay. Now, being clean and competitive, as I said, is not always easy. But when you have to comply with CSRD, it's something that it is not a kind of luxury anymore. It's kind of, you have to comply with the CSRD. Okay. But also, there is the CBAM regulation, which tries to protect the domestic industry, the European industry, against the competition, which sometimes might be not as fair competition with outside Europe. We cannot ignore the fact that the economies are very intertwined and interconnected, so there might be issues, and we might see this type of regulation backfire. So I'm not saying that all regulation is right or is on the best that we can have, and there is no room for correction and for optimizing this. I can't have the 360 perspective for the industrials. I can have my perspective as a utility, where we build, we develop, and we trade, and we act as an intermediary in the market. And we have to live together, because we will lose if they shut down their factories, and apparently they will lose if we can't find competitive prices to give. Okay. In this sense, we think that PPAs is a tool that can be used, and there are various forms of PPAs and structure of PPAs that can be utilized by the industrials. And as I said yesterday in my speech, I really think it's kind of straightforward that the costs will be the cost of the system will be the marginal the cost of the marginal expansion unit of the system. And nowadays the marginal expansion unit of the system is renewables and batteries and flexibility, renewables and flexible resources. Okay, so this is the actual cost that everybody in Europe will pay. So we kind of harmonize the costs across the continent, and by safeguarding this with CBAM or better CBAMs or whatever, then there is a kind of more fair game between a company, a factory in Bulgaria, in Greece, and in France. And just this is a very short comment, and I will stop. We have to always compare the prices, the end user prices, not only the power exchanges, because power exchanges is different. They have some different, Spain or even France. They have the same, let's say, format, but there are other things that make them look cheaper than they actually are. So we always have to compare the end user price that someone pays, including balancing costs, including regulation, including. Okay, so that's for the moment. And
thank you. And now to Mr. Stamenov, what is needed for the energy-intensive industry to invest in decarbonization and remain competitive?
Cheap electricity. Of course, I agree with him that we cannot compare simply the spot market prices, but it gives us a signal. And unfortunately, to elaborate a little bit, for example, in order to sell green products, totally green, because many of our companies doesn't have a big footprint. The industry in Bulgaria, without, of course, the chemical plants, is not so. For example, metallurgy is responsible for less than 1% of the emissions of the country emissions. And to sell our fully green product produced with green electricity, first of all, we need our customers to ask us for such a certificate. The other answer here is we are working and we do hope soon to have such a political decision on European level by this initiative Made in Europe or whatever, to have obligation at public procurement to, for example, 5% of the buildings to be constructed with green cement, green rebars, whatever is in the construction process needed. And by doing this will create a market for our products, and we'll produce such a product with, of course, higher price, but we will have market. Otherwise, as I mentioned before, we will be focused on mature technologies. Because, for example, hydrogen and carbon capture are very expensive. And as one minister of environment was saying, for the carbon capture and underground storage, we capture, they let them go. And this is very briefly the answer.
Thank you. So political support on the EU level seems to be crucial for making more investments.
Yes, this is decarbonization cannot go without funding. We need access to European funding or national funding to support the process and to have a partner in political family, let's say, in Europe and in Bulgaria.
Thank you. And now to Mr. Nakos, how do you see the role of utilities in enabling industrial decarbonization and supporting industrial consumers?
I really think that utilities have a role to play on this. So it is our role to assist industries. If I need to summarize, I would say that our role is to act like a shock absorber for the industries. So to reduce the risk, the market risk, the volatility risk from the industries, because what they actually do is not relevant and should not be, let's say, relevant to what is happening in a complex power market, which is complex, and it is even more complex due to renewables that they bring more stochasticity into the system and more price volatility. So we can act like that. And we have, definitely we have the tools. And I can guarantee you that we can also offer cheap electricity, but it is, we will enter into a discussion what is actually cheap. My grandfather used to say, the expensive is cheap. But okay, because exactly it is, we have to discuss what is the duration of the contract. So if an industry really wants to commit part of their loads and their demands to a long-term contract, then I really think, I'm pretty sure that there will be plenty of guys, and sure PPC will be one of them, that they will offer them something competitive. And I mean it, competitive. And the other thing is, if we act as shock absorbers, as we think that we can act, and we can assist, really assist them, and take this kind of difficulty from the industry and assist them on that, that would also mean that we will protect them from instances and events like the one in Iran now, or the one with Russian invasion, or the one with in Hungary, in southeastern Europe in 2024, high electricity prices. So I really think there's a role. I really think there's a role in something that we did in the environmental part, in the sense of guarantees of origin, and PPAs and guarantees of origin, and the various products that we can offer. And you know, you can also, you might be an industry in Bulgaria, and you can engage with a cross-border PPA in Greece, or even in Romania, or even in Hungary. There are such options. There are so many options out there. The only thing is, there has to be a willingness to commit on a, I wouldn't say on a 10-year basis, that renewables really request in order to become bankable. So we are a utility. We do PPAs on a 10, 15 years basis with developers, or we develop it on ourselves. But then we structure and we offer these products on shorter tenors, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. These are options too that need to be explored by industries. We can also offer compliance as a service. We can do such kind of stuff. We can be in the journey together with the industry that has to comply in certain rules, because we have various partners, and we need to be aware, and we are aware, and we try to be aware of the state-of-the-art regulation, and what are the compliance requests, and we can offer such kind of services. And there are other options as well. PPAs is a tool that it is underestimated if we only understand it as hedging or as competitiveness. PPAs can also be used for environmental purposes, but also in scope 3 of CSRD, you can have PPAs not only for your consumption, but also for your supplier's consumption. So it's kind of aggregate PPAs, multi-buyer PPAs. And again, utilities, due to the fact that they have a pool of consumers, they can facilitate such kind of instruments. And even not only facilitate, but we can also standardize, and we can sit together and standardize some things in order not to be afraid to discuss with me about the power market and the PPA contract, because it is for sure, I have spent so many hours about the papers of the PPA, so I will definitely be more aware. But the point is, we shall build relationships of trust. If we build that, then everything else will find its way to move forward. This is what I really think, and this is the message I want to deliver, relationship of trust.
Thank you. And could you elaborate a little bit on the types of structures and partnerships that can successfully combine decarbonization and competitiveness? This is to all panelists.
Yeah. Shall I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I will say, as a general comment, that you can find the structure per customer. So there is the expertise and there are the resources to really identify the needs of each separate customer and provide what they actually want to meet with their requirements in terms of competitiveness, risk, whatever, because risk is also something that should be included in your competitiveness calculation. Okay. So I will name a view just for the sake of the question. It's the all green baseload PPA. So you have, we deliver energy NGOs 24/7 at a certain point of demand that the consumer would like to request. The other one option is, as I said, okay, the simple and straightforward pay-as-produced PPA, but also there are variations that you can have it cross-border PPAs. I mean, PPA, as I said earlier, in a different country. And the aggregate PPA that I said earlier, that it definitely helps in decarbonizing the strategy of industries and their suppliers as well. We can have instruments that combine hybrid PPAs, that combine solar plus batteries or plus any flexible green generating device. So you don't need to worry about the structure. The only thing is to really show commitment that I'm here and I want to do that. And I know what to know. I know what I want.
Thank you. Yeah. Any comments on this question from?
Yeah, I also think that we will find a structure. I agree with you. And I think that such structures are already found, because what I see across, for example, Northern Europe, in the previous decades, basically companies were looking for the labor costs, for the logistics, for the tax conditions. Those things are also important. But what I see more and more now across Europe is actually ecosystems that are created around places where there is a lot of volumes of renewable energy. So like data centers or green steel production or battery production, these industries, they will look for places where they can get renewable energy, which is stable and affordable, of course, and they can secure it long term. So that's what I think.
Decarbonization and competitiveness, I would say there is no plant who do not invest in decarbonization. Of course, here is a matter of speed. Going to the my colleagues' words for PPA, I do believe a combination of solar energy plus wind plus battery could service our profile. And I do hope this to be competitive in very recent, let's say 1-2 years, even now, yes, I agree. So, of course, we'll come at certain point to PPA, but again, it is not only a matter of price, of course, it is a matter of profile. We need 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 hours annually. Of course, we need secure supply, as you mentioned, as your grandfather told you. And we think the same. If you buy something more expensive, usually it is connected with more reliable product. But of course, for us is of critical importance the affordable and competitive price. Because when we go to sell our product in Europe, nobody is asking us how much you pay for electricity, how much you pay for gas, and everybody is saying, oh, your product, I know from the other plant is this value, this price, what is your price? And you have to compete. And usually the competition is very, very severe.
Thank you. So there is potential, and we see that there are successful partnership structures that are already available. But what are still the remaining obstacles that need to be removed to enable a faster alignment between renewable energy supply and the decarbonization needs of the industry?
Because it has been a very positive panel, let's talk a little bit about barriers, but I promise you that I will end on a positive note. So how I see the barriers, basically, I don't think so. They're no longer technological. I think the capital is here. The industrial demand is also here. What I think the real barriers are the permitting. It takes too long to permit a project. The grid readiness, basically the grid needs to be modernized so it can absorb the renewable energy that wants to enter it. The political consistency, because if there is no political consistency, that both investors and the industry are becoming cautious of how they invest, and the public trust. I think we are not talking enough about the public dialogue and the public trust. There is a lot of disinformation campaigns that are going currently, especially for renewables and for wind. Here in Bulgaria, this is one of the reasons why we have not developed a single wind turbine or installed for the last 12 years. And as we want to move towards the renewable base load, we need wind because we are already champions in terms of solar and battery deployment. But to have wind, we really need to have the governments, the municipalities, the public institutions step up the dialogue and really discuss what are the advantages and what are the competitive industrial strategies we will take as a country to be able to realize this potential, because otherwise we will miss the train. So I really believe that we have all the prerequisites to make the best out of the decarbonization journey, and we should do it.
You told everything.
No, nothing.
Okay. I don't have anything to add. I told you earlier, we have a construction permit for one upgrade of our plant, and we don't have environment permission. And now we are at the moment when the construction permit will expire, and we are fighting with this disaster. The administration procedures sometimes are disaster, and we are speaking for investments.
I will be very short. I have 1 second. I mean, we have to stop the guarantees of origin fragmentation. I mean, everybody should be an AIB ready country, and we have to, all the generating devices in the Southeastern Europe shall be AIB compliant. This is one simple, and that can be resolved, I think, and it will be to the benefit of all.
So thank you very much. To wrap it up just in a few sentences, the technology is here. Renewable energy is available. What is needed is political support in terms of regulation, both on European and national level, and streamlined permits and less regulation and bureaucracy. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions to our panelists, you can ask them during the drinks reception outside. Thank you.